Then in the early 19th century, writer and traveler Alexandre Dumas visited... Dumas?
Is that like the guy that wrote Three Musketeers? Yeah, Alexander Dumas. Yeah. Wrote Three Musketeers. All right.
I don't know who that is. Three Musketeers what?
It's like
the
candy bar.
It's like the Mouseketeers?
Yeah.
Is that the candy bar guy?
It's the candy bar guy. Sure is.
Mickey Mouse and the candy bar guy? All right. Hello, greetings, and hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mysterious Pals Show. My name is Chris, and I'm looking Jordan directly in the eyes right now.
I'm not blinking.
I just want to say thank you to all of our travelers, listeners, everybody that's here with us today. But I also want to say thank you to Jordan for being here today. Jordan, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Great. I'm happy to be here.
Me too.
And I would like to say that I finished Breaking Bad.
The whole series?
Yeah. Since the last time we spoke. I liked season 4.
You're on season 2 or 3 last time?
3. I was beginning of 3.
Oh my goodness.
I got
five seasons?
I got a lot going on. I don't really like season 5 as much. I like season 4. Season 4 was really good. I think the show was the best.
Season 5 is the last one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 4 was really good. It ended well, but then they go into season 4, but it just wasn't for me. Season 5 wasn't for me.
Did you? All right. Oh man, so many questions. Okay, so did you like the ending, the way it ended?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was
guns
fine.
a-blazing. Jesse drives off.
Yeah, and I guess there's a movie.
Sorry, spoilers.
I guess there's a movie, right?
Yeah, the movie's pretty. I mean, it's fine.
I mean, I think that was of the enemies. That group was the worst. Like, it seems like that was like, hey, we're just going to throw these guys because we have no one else for them to be the ultimate enemies.
Yeah, because the one guy, Gus, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's great. The whole thing of that played out.
Fantastic.
And then they threw another season in there.
There's he's a famous actor now, but it kind of got a start in the show. Can't remember what his actual name is. I think his name is Jesse in real life. He ends up killing that kid. I think it's like season 4 or season 3.
Yes. Season 5.
That's season 5.
On the dirt bike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're done. I finally made it through. I got that, the social stamp of like, okay, you watched the show. So now it's like, if you haven't watched The Sopranos, which I haven't.
You should watch it, man.
I don't know. That seems like a lot.
It is a lot.
And I just don't really care.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff's not for me.
Right.
Mafia stuff, I don't really care.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't really care.
But knowing of the topic, you gave me kind of an outline of the topic today. There's a show you should watch, but go ahead and start.
I'm sure okay. So, off the top also, we know there was sound echoing issues, reverb issues in the first we know. We're working out stuff. We're learning.
We're still learning, yeah.
I couldn't get rid of them, so if you've made it this far and didn't hate me for the reverb and echoes that we had just between the mics, we had some issues with how we mix things. Hopefully this episode will be taken care of, or maybe not. But also, it's just how it goes. Yeah, sorry.
We're still learning.
We're still learning. We'll figure it out. I was unable to take it out of the first couple episodes. So moving on to this show, what I want to ask first before we begin is I want to know, and before you answer, I'm going to tell you just to give you a minute to think, I'm going to tell you my scenario.
Okay.
And I want to know, when you die, what do you want to happen to your body? And this goes in, I'm going somewhere with this, just follow along. So what I want to do, now there's two things I want, there's two scenarios. One, if I make it to the point where we become like robots, I want to be a 7-foot robot.
7 feet.
Just ripped, 7 foot, 8 foot tall.
Why that tall?
I'm a robot. And I want to be the first one in line when they start putting brains in the robots. I want to live forever. Like, I want to be here forever.
I won't say that. I wouldn't want to be the first one in line, though.
No, I want to be just whatever. If someone, they figured it out, maybe second, whatever. But like, I want to be just ripped, like,
jacked.
I want 5 arms. I want 4 in the front, 1 in the back to flick you off when I run past you at full speed. Like Duncan, whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's like my primary. That's like what I'm hoping for.
Man,
no, science fiction will tell me that's going to happen. Real life, the way science works and stuff, we probably won't get there. I'll probably just be like I'll die, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we can put people's brains and bodies in robots now." And I'm like, "Son of a bitch," and I'll be gone.
Yeah, but you're like a Roomba.
Yeah, that's what the level I'll get.
Because by the time civilization gets at the point, we'll probably be long gone. If we ever get to
I
that
know,
point.
it sucks.
Yeah.
If they could like freeze me or something, which if you ever hear stories about that, but did you ever hear the stories about like there's actual people being frozen, and it's like these companies go out of business and they like don't know what to do with the bodies.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with those bodies?
That's the problem. It's like this, there's like a lot of articles on it. It was like a big thing a couple years ago. But anyway, the other number 2, since I want to be like here forever and I want to be a burden to anybody and everybody, I want to be. I don't want to be. I don't want to be like in the ground. I don't want to be like Vikings shot arrows out. I want to be.
That'd be a cool way to go. The
whatever.
Pyre, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
But you need someone.
Then I'm gone. But I want to be here forever.
Yeah.
And I want to be remembered. So I want to be stuffed. And like I want to be in my kids, my grandkids. I want to be in their bathroom holding toilet paper. I want to go like this. I want to stuff me standing up like this.
Okay.
Toilet paper roll. Okay. Look you right in the eye when you're pooping. And I just want to be like this for the rest of their lives. Like, oh, Pappy's looking at me again. The dumbest look I can find, and just like that. And then my hand will, I don't know if my hand will move, but like eventually I'm going to break.
But they could be a source of comfort. Like, hey, you got this. I know you're not feeling too great.
So like this, I'm like toilet paper right here, then thumbs up. Yeah.
Because you would know.
Yeah. I mean, just it's going to be, as an adult, I can't wait.
Me and your wife talked about this before. I don't know how this started, but like we were saying how fun it'd be at my funeral. The casket would be raised and it'd almost be like an animatronic where I'd just like give people like weird hugs.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I thought that's what we're doing anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right. It's in our wills, yes.
Yeah. But maybe that's like you get stuffed and you're on the other side of the room and you just hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like or
or
you're stuffed into a mattress and like everyone just sleeps on you for the rest of your life. Like grind you up and put you in mattresses. Because there's that thing where you can pay to be in a tree where they put you in a tree.
So, yeah.
But what happens whenever like a storm knocks you down?
Yeah.
Then you're pissed.
But like, you're going back to the ground, back to the earth. I understand the appeal of that.
I want to be stuffed and just standing there.
Yes. Yeah.
Eventually they'll throw me away. If someone like
in time,
three generations from now, they'll be like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Just throw him in the garbage.
Or when someone buys your house and there's this dude just standing there.
You're saying they won't even take me with it?
No. Like he's stuck to the floor.
So hopefully they'll find this recording someday and it'll be like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, there's Peepaw.
Yeah. So okay, now that's mine. What's yours? Besides the animatronic thing, that's your funeral. What's going to be happening to your body?
So originally I was like, I want to be buried. Then I was like, no, maybe I should be cremated. But then organ donor, I feel like would be the right, but
they still got to do something with your body.
Yeah. Then
but if I just stuff you and stick in my passenger seat and I just drive around with you for the rest of my life,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start stinking.
Put right next to your door pretzels in your truck. Yeah, that'd be great.
I do love some door pretzels.
Little salt.
You're holding the dipping sauce. Yeah. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up, and hopefully this all comes true, probably. We're going to be talking about a guy who they say, story is, he was buried under rivers with a bunch of gold.
Okay.
And they stopped some rivers.
Gold, all right.
I don't know if these are streams or actual rivers, but they blocked some rivers. They dug a big pit. They put him in there with his gold, and they let the water flow back over, and they killed all the slaves. That's a story that's being told. That's like the main story about this guy.
So the slaves are the one that built?
Yeah, all the people that dug it, they killed all those guys. So that no one could ever tell anybody where it is.
Okay, I've heard stuff like that before. Wasn't this kind of thing with Genghis Khan?
Yes, that's another story. So another thing with Genghis Khan. So this guy, his name is King Alaric.
All right, yeah, okay.
So King Alaric, and if you don't know, he's a Visigoth king.
Mm.
And we're going to be looking at the story of King Alaric and what happened to him, where he's buried, and where his gold is, his treasures. Okay. Now, we don't know if he was buried with treasures, but we want to know where his body is. He could have been. I'm sure he was probably buried with treasures.
Yeah.
Especially when you hear the story about.
I mean, most people. I think a lot of people at that time were buried with a treasure.
You're a king.
Like, take it to the afterlife. Yeah.
Not me. I'm just be standing in front of the toilet, looking at my grandkids.
You got this. Potty training. That'd be perfect for potty training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make it like move and stuff, or like a thing that flashes on my face, like.
Proud of you.
Okay. So we're gonna be talking about King Alaric and his treasures and where he's buried, specifically where he's buried.
Okay.
So the story of King Alaric starts during the Roman Empire. specifically towards the end of the Western Roman Empire.
Okay.
So we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you questions about Rome, obviously, so be prepared. But we know that the fall of Rome is considered some major event. So like when I talk about this stuff, again, I'm not a historian, and I know Rome has been done to death by everybody in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much research done about it. There's so many amazing historians and amazing people that talk about Rome and are so much better than I, or have so much more information, or just, the experts.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. But what I found interesting about this is the idea of there's this king that no one ever heard of, more than likely. It's not well known for the most part, unless you're a history guy.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, because I don't know much about this guy.
Was a big character in the fall of the Western Roman Empire. He was a big reason why the empire started to crumble. He was one of the first to invade it, foreign power to invade it.
Okay. What time frame? Like what? Do you like?
So we're talking in the 300s to 400s, late 300s, early 400s.
Very close to the fall of Rome itself. Okay, all right.
So the fall of Rome obviously was big in European history, human history. It was a big deal, and it's crazy because like you think at this point, couldn't they figured everything out? But obviously they haven't.
Yeah.
Because they're always digging up stuff in Europe.
Always finding stuff.
Yeah, from Roman times. Roads. I always thought it was great whenever interesting how they found like, concrete. Concrete, the idea of where concrete came from.
Or even
they started using it so long ago.
Yeah.
But it's such a simple idea, and then it gets lost for a while.
Sure.
The other thing we have to remember is the Roman Empire was known for persecuting Christians.
Yeah.
And then Constantine,
the idea was emperor.
The Emperor Constantine changed the entire empire to a Christian empire.
Yeah,
right?
That was a very massive shift in not only like within the world itself, like because they were, they're Romans, so they believe in like Mars and Jupiter.
They're polytheists.
Yeah. So that like prior to him converting, they were persecuted.
It was the religion of the poor.
Yes.
And so they were persecuted.
Yeah.
And this kind of change really was a drastic move for an emperor in this time period to change everything so much.
It's a huge shift in how
especially after so much time. This time it was like 800 years.
Yeah. Like this is a huge shift in in the world. Him converting to Christianity. I think he was going into battle. The story goes, the legend goes, he had a dream. And he saw the cross in the sky, and he was like, "Oh, this must mean something. This must mean my victory is coming." So then he ended up converting on his deathbed. But yeah, there's a very, very big shift
for
everybody,
the empire. And he also did another thing.
Like in hindsight, like the ramifications of that is massive.
He also did another thing was he moved the center in this. Please correct me because again, there's so much information. This is like this story got so complicated.
There's also a lot of stuff going back and forth between the East and the West.
So he supposedly moved the center, the capital of the Roman Empire, from Rome or from Western Roman Empire to the Eastern Empire in Constantinople.
So
Byzantine.
Yes. So the Roman Empire got so big at one point. An emperor called Diocletian was like, "There's no way one sole emperor can rule over all this." So his idea was to create a tetrarchy. So there'd be an emperor in the west, in Rome, emperor in the east, which would be Byzantium, and it'd be becoming Constantinople, named after Constantine. And each of them had an emperor underneath them. So those two main emperors are called Augustus or Augusti. I don't know the plural. And one's on them would be called Caesars. So there are 4 people ruling.
Okay.
This is Diocletian's idea. And again, in hindsight, this is probably a terrible idea to do this. I understand why he did it because the Roman Emperor was so huge, big. He couldn't do it on his own.
It's not like an email like, "Hey, don't stop doing that." Or, here's some rules.
But in hindsight, by the fact that you're creating these 2 separate empires, time is going to change. Rulers are going to change because, like, from the Constantinople lasts until 1453. That's 1,000 years from the time, at least from the time that, over 1,000 years from the time that Diocletian decided to do this. These people are becoming more integrated in their own society. especially out in the east. They're like,
So
it's
naturally-
more Greek, like, and it's you got a lot of Islamic influences that are coming through. So like in time, over 1,000 years, these people are going to change. They're going to have to start developing their identities. Not really going to, at least on the east, they're not going to really see themselves as Romans anymore. They seem to smell some more Greeks or Byzantines.
That's what's crazy about this whole thing is like
Yeah.
when people say Constantinople, it's in modern day Turkey.
It's Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Middle East, like it's considered the Middle East.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's considered as Islamic.
Yeah. But even if you go to like Hagia Sophia, which is like this massive like church at one point, now it's an Islamic temple. You can see for the architecture and the art, you can see Islamic influences on that when it was built. So like it's clearly over time, like these people are going to separate and they're going to start finding their own identities and things are going to change, which end up causing like a rift between the two.
In any case, a lot was going on. It was very complicated.
Yeah.
The break,
say the
the
least.
split, the multiple empires.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they even consider themselves two empires, but one.
Yeah.
They still consider themselves the Roman Empire.
Yeah, as soon as Diocletian died, like kind of hit the fan as far as like how they're going to interact with each other, how they're going to cooperate with each other, how coexist with each other. Because these like Rome and Constantinople, I think, are like 1,000 miles apart.
Yeah.
So it's like that distance alone is going to cause issues within the empire of Rome.
And it's almost like when you start learning, like start reading about all this stuff and you start learning about it, you understand like, oh, this was like destined to fail because there was so much
That's
going
what I'm saying.
on.
In hindsight, like it's
There's
like
so
how
many, and it's so good. And it sounded like at this point, it was so not
yes,
like good in
and
it.
necessary because we were so big. We needed, yeah,
Everybody wanted to come in and get
right,
it.
yeah,
And we see that even themselves. It's crazy because the East and West were at war and allied at different times. And it seems like year to year it changed.
sure. And I think one of the reasons why Constantine decided to move the capital is because because they kept pushing the borders northward towards like what would now be considered like Germany and those other European countries. They're also pushing these Germanic tribes out, and they're going to, eventually like, that's
the wrong
enough.
people.
Yeah, and start,
Push back.
Yeah,
And I think that's where we're going to begin the stories about this time where the Germanic tribes were invading the Roman Empire off and on from 238.
okay,
And in the late 4th century, the Huns began to invade the lands of the Germanic
Forgot about
tribes
them, yeah,
and push many of them to the Roman Empire. So you're starting to like squish them together.
yeah,
And so that's why you had the Goths start getting more involved with this, with the Romans and what was going on. So in 376, the Huns forced many of the Thervingoths, there's a lot of names here, the Thervingoths to seek refuge in the Eastern Roman Empire.
okay,
So the Huns pushed them down. Soon after, starvation, high taxes, and hatred from the Roman population and governmental corruption turned the Goths against the empire. So it seems that the Goths were welcomed in some cases, and then it started to both of them started being like there was friction between them.
sure,
For various reasons.
yeah,
But peace was established in 382 when the new Eastern Emperor Theodosius
yeah,
the first signed the treaty with the Thervings,
okay,
and then they became known as the Visigoths.
okay,
Which, if you're gonna name an indie punk band a name, the Visigoths got to be that name.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. If
There's definitely some out there,
yeah,
but that's just
yeah,
that's a rad name.
yeah.
However, this treaty subjected them or made them subjects of the Roman Empire, so they became
They incorporated them,
right. But then
without
also
some of the
you're
benefits.
also gonna do stuff for us.
yeah,
So they were a lot of the northern part of what they call the diocese, I believe is what they called it. And while the land remained under Roman sovereignty, the kind of like Goths or the Visigoths were in charge of policing it or like in control of it.
all right,
They were expected to provide military service, basically protect us against the Huns, and we'll let you live.
they'd probably be the first line of defense too. Like we're throwing you guys out there.
So the Huns are going to
get your Romans out there.
We're
yeah.
just going to let you stay there to be the buffer.
Yeah.
So at this time, King Alaric was the subject of our discussion here. Not much is really known about him before he became king. He was a part of the Germanic tribes. There was a leader at the time, a Visigoth leader named Fritigern. He died in 382, and a Gothic chieftain at the time named Alaric was declared king by a group of Visigoths.
Okay.
So he was a Gothic chieftain, and then they were like Visigoths were like, "Hey, man, we want you to be our king."
The thing that happened a lot back then, like as far as succession, there wasn't necessarily a hereditary thing. It was more like the general, whoever the general of the army is, they become the new ruler.
Right.
Which happened in Rome too sometime. Not all the time, but it happened in Rome as well. Like
It seems like a lot happened.
Yeah.
So King Alaric is crowned as the king of the Visigoths. He then leads an invasion to eastern Roman territory outside of the Goths' designated lands. So he starts rebelling against the Romans. He was defeated by Theodosius and his general Flavius.
Okay.
And I don't know how to say his last name, but Stilicho.
I think Flavius ended up being one of the.
So I'm going to just say Flavius because he comes up a lot.
Okay.
Him and Alaric are they interlock with their stories are like intertwined. So
okay.
they're it's like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Like these guys just go back and forth.
Destined.
Yeah. So the Visigoths were defeated. King Alaric's attacks were defeated by Flavius in 392, but he forced Alaric and the Visigoths back into like servitude.
Okay.
So they were rebelling against them. He said, no, we're going to put you down and then we're going to put you back in to protect us from the Huns. And you're still in charge of this. So at that point, King Alaric then, I guess he needs some like military victories. So he goes off and he has his first real military victories. Big ones were in 395 AD, where he sacks the ports of Athens and Sparta, both in Greece.
Oh, geez. All right.
So he goes after those in 395. I don't know what's going on in Greece at this time.
Well, Byzantium was originally settled by Greeks.
Which is like two different parts of the world. Like it's crazy that when you think about, like, that's what I was trying to bring up before. When you think about Constantinople, you think of it like Istanbul, Middle East. Yeah. And then actually it was these Greek guys came over. Yeah.
So imagine this might be rubbing the
Easterns, right? That's when you say that, the Byzantium.
Yeah, that might be rubbing those people the wrong way if he's doing this to the.
But if it's after he's in servitude of the Eastern Empire at this point.
Oh, right,
so why is he going after these guys? Why is he going after Greece? While the sacking of Athens and Greece was in 395, but the year before that, he led a force of Visigoths as part of Theodosius' army against the Western Empire.
So is he playing everyone against each other, or like just out for himself?
Because he got put into servitude by Theodosius and Flavius.
Right.
He goes and fights in 394. He goes after the Western Empire. Half his army gets wiped out, and then he goes to Greece in 395. Sacks the ports. I'm guessing as he was just trying to get people, supplies. After getting destroyed in 394. Yeah. So it's called the Battle of Frigidus. Half the Visigoths died fighting the Western Roman Empire or army. Theodosius won the battle, and Alaric was given a title for his bravery. The tensions between these two, the Goths and the Romans, it seemed like that these tensions were still rising, and it seemed like the Romans were actively trying to weaken the Visigoths by just starting wars or putting them in the front lines of all the wars. Yeah, just to try to get rid of them.
Kill them off.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're like using them as two, like we'll also make them weaker by killing them
they're also kind of helping us at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So Alaric was enraged that he wasn't granted high office because he was promised that
he's being
every
used.
time. Yeah. So every time he these victories or part of these battles that helped lead or in large part helped lead to these victories, he was not given the imperial stature that he was looking for. So as King Alaric was fighting for both, he was fighting for the Eastern Empire and fighting against them every once in a while. Like it just kind of bounced back and forth. The Western Empire started noticing his power, and they started fearing the Visigoths. So they got so much so scared of them that in 402 they moved their capital from Rome to a place that is more defensible called Ravenna. Okay. Which I guess is northeastern Italy. Okay. So up in the mountains. That same year, King Alaric invaded Italy, but was turned back by Flavius again, who was now working for the Western Empire. So he goes from the Eastern Empire, he's in charge of the Western Empire. Okay. He repels Alaric again. Jeez. He then utilized Alaric in wars with the Eastern Empire. So he then pushes him back again, says, you're still in servitude of Rome. Then he uses them to fight the Eastern Empire. It was like a soap opera. And it was so hard to get this all straight, reading all these different articles and everything. Yeah. And this is why when you look up stuff about King Alaric, it's just so straightforward. He did this, this, and this. Yeah. But then if you go and try to learn about what actually happened, it's so insane because people are just fighting back and forth. And that's why I say these guys are so entwined because Flavius keeps on using Alaric to do all this stuff, promising him to be a leader or giving him a station. Yeah. And he just keeps on. Eventually, it gets to the point where he just keeps on saying we're going to do it. Go fight this war.
Right.
Go fight the Eastern.
Alaric doesn't get anything out of it.
No. 408. And so in 408, Flavius reconciled with the Eastern Empire. Again, back and forth. The Visigoths under Alaric had lost their value to Flavius. So he helped fight the Eastern Empire.
No, there's dishing
helped
them.
protect the Eastern Empire. Helped fight the Western Empire. Helped then protect the Western Empire against the Eastern Empire. And he was then finally screwed whenever Flavius reconciled with the Eastern Empire. And for the love of God, this may be all wrong, but it seemed multiple sources that pointed me this way. And
Okay.
I'll list all the sources in the show notes, and I'll mention them at the end. So 408, he reconciles with Flavius reconciles with the Eastern Empire. Visigoths are then put back on the back burner again. They're treated as nothing more than northern Germanic tribes, barbarians, which guess I never learned this in school, but barbarian means people that aren't Greek, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
That's
that
where it comes from?
They called everyone barbarians.
Yeah. So this other guy, an Olympius, he's an official, a Palatine official, an enemy of Flavius, spread false rumors about Flavius, that he was trying to get his son to rise at the seat in the Eastern Empire.
Okay, so when you said Flavius, I'm pretty sure Flavius, so I don't remember, it's a tetrarchy. I know we're going through jumps in time, so like Diocletian's dead. I think Constantine's dead at this point too, but the tetrarchy, I don't know if that's still in play right now, but there was an emperor in the west, emperor in the east, and each under them had like a sub-emperor. I think Flavius was one of those sub-emperors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he
went from east to west, and then...
Yes, and then he also tried... So they say that there was this meeting between... Once they kind of mended ties again in 408, he was supposed to go to Eastern Empire to like talk.
Okay.
And I guess because he didn't want to send Olympius, he wanted to go himself. He thought Olympius was trying to screw him or something. So then he said that Flavius was trying to put his son in, because I guess this time there's a guy named Honorius.
Okay.
Was another emperor.
Okay.
He was his son, like I guess it was his kid. He was he was put into control of the Eastern Empire. And I guess they were trying to say that Flavius was trying to install his son as the leader of that side.
And again, because like right around like when you think of like leaders in succession, it's usually hereditary.
Yeah.
Based off of like what they did with the monarchs in England and France and Germany and all that stuff. But all the time, like I was saying, like it's not necessarily the son becomes emperor. It's usually like my adoptive son or like my nephew.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times it's just a general. So it's kind of like interesting that like people are like, wait, what are you trying to do with your son now? You're trying to put him in power now?
So people might be saying like, at this point, why the hell are we talking about this? Where's the body under the river?
Where's the gold?
I swear it's going somewhere. We're almost there. So Olympius.
But this is fascinating though.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to include this in the story, because it was so crazy all the stuff was going on. Right. It was basically and it was a short amount of time. We're not talking about hundreds of years. We're talking about like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So in 408, Olympius convinces the Eastern Empire and the Western that Flavius is a traitor. Okay. They put him to death. They execute him and his son.
And his son. Ooh.
And then
all right,
Olympius is extremely against the barbarians. He is known.
He wants to build a wall.
He's anti-Germanic and obsessed with purging any and all of any supporters of Flavius. And he's also very against the Germanic people. So he starts murdering anybody that was a Goth, Visigoth, anybody in that Germanic background. He starts killing all the people in Rome, like in the city, murdering them. So thousands of them fled to find Alaric and be like, you got to find out what's going on over there.
That's the thing. Like he wasn't necessarily like, it's not like it's just some guy on his own. It's like, I'm going to decide to do this. Like there people had that like idea of like, why are these foreigners, why are we letting these barbarians in our country? So he's just playing the game. And I guess at some point, but like I'm not saying he's right around. I'm just saying like that he wasn't a lone person. Like we got to kill all these,
Yeah. So he was just,
he knew his audience.
Right. I'm sure, like we've said before, as these Germanic people were getting pushed by the Huns, they were taken over, they were being moved. It's kind of like this the same old story of human history.
Sure.
Alaric was at this point saw these people, the Germanic tribes, these people who were escaping, coming to find him, joining his ranks. They're telling him what's going on. He's like, oh crap, we better take care of this. So he's then declared an enemy of the emperor. King Alaric is like, first he's supposed to be given a station. He's supposed to be given like
he's promised
an
things.
imperial position. He's supposed to be given like all the stuff that goes along with that.
He was duped.
Be known as a Roman, general. And then all of a sudden, this guy just says, nah. Kills the guy, his friend. Well,
at this point, they're just giving him more motivation.
Yeah, it's kind of like a movie.
Yeah, they're giving him the motivation, like, I'm going to come after you guys, especially since like he got all his new troops, I would imagine, because of these people that are pushed out of Rome.
So he's declared an enemy, and he's denied the legitimacy that he wanted, and he also can't collect taxes on behalf of the Roman Empire to use for his people, to use to feed people, for himself. So that just makes him angry.
Yeah.
So he was granted all that under Flavius, but it's gone now because he's considered an enemy. So he leads a force of 30,000 men.
Is dead.
Yeah.
The guy promises.
Yes. He leads 30,000 men. Many of them are motivated to go back and revenge their family, to revenge their people.
Yeah.
And they march toward Western Roman Empire of Rome, or Western Roman Empire in Rome, which obviously was moved to this point to Ravenna. So in 408, he invaded and laid siege to Rome. It also says in the kind of research about this, there's one main guy, which I'll mention later, who kind of was like the main person for this whole story. A lot of what was going on in the Roman Empire at the time, he's kind of like known to be the one who wrote it all down.
Okay.
So
it's crazy how much has happened.
Just in like,
in the span of like
a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 408, he goes in, he simply walks into the city because, again, everybody's kind of spread out.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably, Flavius gets killed. A lot of his soldiers are probably like, I'm not fighting for this guy. And so all this stuff's going on. It's crazy. He just basically walks through the country and goes right and sacks Rome. But he likes Rome. He loves the Roman Empire. So he's not going to destroy anything. He just wants
what he's owed.
His money.
Yeah. He
wants food for his people. He wants like something to help him build an empire of his own, or build a kingdom.
Yeah.
So the Roman Senate agreed to give the Goths 5,000 pounds of gold, 30 pounds of silver, 30,000 pounds of 4,000 silken tunics, 3,000 hides dyed with scarlet, 3,000 pounds of pepper, and to release all of the Gothic slaves. So while they released the slaves, which made his ranks grow to 40,000 men now, most of them enslaved people that wanted to fight back. He says, fine, okay, I don't want to destroy anything. Great, give me what I'm owed. I'll leave. He goes back,
which seems reasonable.
Yeah, but he doesn't get it. They don't give him anything. They end up not giving him what he's owed. They didn't bring it to him. They also don't really allow him to collect taxes or anything like that. He can't do anything. He's kind of hand tied. So in 410, he comes back again to liberate more. He's kind of, at this time, he's like, you screw me twice now, majorly.
Yeah.
And this is it. I'm mad. So he comes back. He ransacks the city for 3 days in August. They didn't pay him, obviously, from the first siege. There was another siege, I believe, a story of another siege in 409, but I'm not sure what that one's about.
Okay.
But this one's the big one. This is the one that, this would be the first time in 800 years Rome had fell to a foreign enemy. The last time it was sacked like this was 390 BC, with the Gauls following their victory against the Romans. Yeah. So this is in 800 years Rome hasn't fallen like this and been sacked, where like he's in control of the entire city. And the only reason why they survived, he didn't burn it all down, is because he left.
Okay.
Like he was like, I don't want to kill everybody. Like I just want what I'm owed.
What I'm owed, yeah.
And you didn't give it to me the first time. This is what you get. I'm trying to teach you a lesson. But they're all in Ravenna, the Western Empire. Right. And who knows if the Eastern and Western are in battle again. Yeah. So his next plan is to invade Africa in order to control Roman trade and grain. So he heads down the boot of Italy to head towards the Mediterranean to start stopping the grain shipments from Africa. Because he's like, now I'm in charge.
That's smart, yeah. Hit him where it hurts.
However, 410,
it's crazy.
He's on his way to block the shipments, right at the tip of the shoe, of the boot of the country.
Yeah.
He dies from malaria. They say it's malaria. Some kind of sickness kills him. Many historians gone back, biologists, other people go back and look what was going on. They figure he's from northern. He's not really around the southern, like the way that the climate's different. Yeah. And so he may have contracted malaria, which is the common theory, is he got malaria and he died. Dead. Whenever he's like on the roll, like he's like, we're in charge now. And if he would have kept going, who knows what happened?
Probably came from a landlocked country too. Who knows what he's coming across.
Visigoths elect his brother, Ataulf, his brother-in-law, as their new king. The Visigoths move north. They head back. They head to and they establish Visigoth, the kingdom of Gaul, in 418. They would go on to help the Roman Empire against Attila the Hun in 451. So they actually, I guess, well, obviously they have to, because Attila the Hun probably did.
Yeah, he was decimated everything.
So
they didn't have a choice.
There was a historian, Halsall, in 2007. This is from his research. He said the importance of Alaric cannot be overestimated. He desired and obtained a Roman command, even though he was a barbarian. The problem was, his misfortune was, he was caught as a cog, or like a bargaining chip between East and West empires. He was like, I'm sure there's many other armies, people going through this, but he was like a really well-known, powerful guy that was getting tossed between these empires, the parts of the empire, as kind of like a toy. Like, he was protecting the East, he was fighting against the East, he was protecting the West, he's fighting against the West. He's taking over. He's allowing them to leave, and he's leaving their cities.
He's just trying to survive, and like his people are just trying to survive. Like, what's best for my people is like, okay, I'll allow this. Like, Byzantine ally with them this time. Okay, maybe the best for my people is ally with the Roman side, like the Rome Western side.
Right.
And it seems he keeps getting duped and promised things, and
he's just using.
Yeah. He's being manipulated.
So there's a historian. Let's go on to this mystery now. So the historian named Jordanes, I believe his name is.
It's not me.
Yeah, Jordanes. He's the one who wrote about the Goths in the 6th century. He's kind of one of the historians that's like kind of
specializes in it.
He's one of the ones that specializes. Excuse me. His his records show that what he wrote was that he was buried along with the looted treasure in a tomb at the confluence of the Bucento and Carthus rivers. This is what he said exactly in his writing. Turning from its course, the river Bucentus, near the city of Cosenza?
Italy.
Yes. They led the band of captives into the midst of the bed to dig out a place for his grave, writes Jordanus.
So not far from where he supposedly died.
Supposedly.
I mean, in Italy. Yeah. Okay.
And this is from his book, The Origin and Deeds of the Goths. So this is a book written by the 6th century guy. In the depths of the pit, they buried Alaric together with many treasures, and then turned the waters back into their channel, and and that none might ever know the place, they put to death all the diggers. Which is so soldiers and stuff. So they only killed the slaves, basically.
I'm just bad because I keep feeling bad. I just know the story about like the Visigoths and how, especially Alaric, how he got a raw deal, and all this was like, oh, they had slaves too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it seems like you can't go in the history of humanity and not, it all ends back to slavery.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just
horrible,
kind of.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah.
It's almost like humanity has lots of problems on the inside.
Yeah. So they buried him with his treasure.
Yes,
but they stopped.
They'd say they stopped these two rivers.
They built like a dam,
the confluence of these rivers.
So they can like
they redirect
bury him and then like let the water come back in. Oh, okay,
so they buried him under the rivers.
Okay.
They say this is like part of a Visigoth tradition, but it's like the Visigoths. Maybe it was a Gothic or Germanic tribe tradition.
Yeah,
but I couldn't find anything that's like really concrete on like this. We always bury people under rivers. Doesn't seem right. Maybe it's the kings, but also maybe just we bury them in a place that can't be ever, like we don't mark their graves.
Right.
Kind of like how I believe the.
I think like you noted earlier. Sorry to cut you off, but like you were saying how they viewed everyone outside of, was it Rome or Greece, as barbarians.
Yeah. That
could have been anyone. Like it could have been the Celts, Germanic tribes. Like they were all at one point were kind of around the same time in the same group of people, but like they're different tribes. But like I'm not saying who knows, but like I don't know what their traditions were.
Right.
For those early Germanic Celt tribes of like as far as burial and dealing with death and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know.
So in his so there's another author that kind of backs us up from 1737. There's a book 6-volume series called The History and Decline and the Fall of the Roman Empire. Edward Gibbon, 1737 to 1794 is when he lived.
Okay.
Appears to confirm this. He wrote, by the labor of the captain multitude, the forcibly diverted the course of the Bucentis, a small river that washes the walls of the Constantinus. Again, I gotta get some words right. The royal sepulchre adorned the splendid spoils and trophies of Rome was constructed in the vacant bed. The waters were then restored to their natural channel, and the secret spot where the remains of Alaric had been deposited was forever concealed by the inhumane massacre of the prisoners who had been deployed to execute the work. So the king of the Visigoths, King Alaric, they say was buried in this river, again, in southern Italy, alongside tons of silver and gold. Obviously, during this time, there's always those stories that come up. It's like the sacred menorah that was looted by the Romans was there, and like all these like special, these very specific type of treasures were there. But who knows? These are the only kind of
bones of saints,
right?
Yeah.
There's just these stories that they have written. Again, who knows if Gibbon had said this from Jordanus? If this was from his writing, he wrote this as well. And we saw this with Captain Avery.
Yep.
Same exact thing. The first episode.
Legends, myths.
Just keep on. The story keeps going twisted. People want to sell
Folklore.
books.
Yeah.
So there has been attempts, and there are theories about this. So during the 18th century, a huge project took place to unearth the tomb of Alaric, but nothing was found. Then in the early 19th century, writer and traveler Alexandre Dumas visited. Dumas?
Is that like the guy that wrote Three Musketeers? Yeah, Alexander Dumas. Yeah. Wrote Three Musketeers. All right.
Don't know who that is. Three Musketeers what? Is
Yeah,
it
the candy bar.
It's like the Mouseketeers?
Yeah.
Is that the candy bar guy?
It's the candy bar guy. Sure is.
Mickey Mouse and the candy bar guy? All right.
Yeah, pretty sure that's him. Yeah.
So in 19th century, writer and traveler Alexander Dumas, he visited the region after a major earthquake that had drained the Bucenta River. He reported that numerous people began fervently digging for the Roman treasure, but no treasure or tomb was unearthed. So who knows how far they went down, though.
Yeah.
And also, was a couple guys run down there and start going like, I can't find it. Like, obviously, if you're going to bury something in the river, over time, that river is going to deposit other things.
Sure.
So it's going to, there could be like hundreds of feet of mud above it now.
But wouldn't there also be erosion too? Like things getting pulled out?
Yeah. But if they dug it deep enough, they must know what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
So we'll go over that. That comes up.
Is there a town around this area?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to go over that. In the 20th century, the Council of the Treasure attracted the attention of Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler, who ordered the extensive search for the hidden loot, but they came back empty-handed. So that even Hitler and the Nazis went after this treasure.
Of course they did.
Couldn't find it.
They went after all the treasures.
Well, because he was a Germanic tribe.
Yeah.
Germanic people.
Right. Yeah.
Of course they're going to look for the King Alaric, the great guy who defeated the Romans. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So he was a hero to them.
Yes.
And as recent as 2015, excavations have been undertaken in the same area for the treasure. So it seems like it's all in this.
People agree it's in that general area.
Cosenza, Italy.
Okay.
Historic sources include from that the treasure of Alaric was buried in Cosenza. The mayor of Cosenza said in a statement, the treasure consisted of about 10 wagons full of gold and silver, and perhaps also the sacred Jewish menorah. Italian scientists and authorities identified 5 sites where Alaric and the loot could be buried, and the value of the contents of the tomb somewhere around 734 million euros.
Jeez.
And this is
Cosenza.
Who's that?
George Costanza.
Is that Three Musketeers? Yes, gotcha. Jerry. So, 2015, they're like, this is the mayor of the town, the mayor of the town, though. So keep that in consideration.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, this popped up a lot.
Okay.
And here's the theory: the town of Cosenza, which is the problems, is considered an economically depressed town in South Italy, could turn into a tourist bonanza. They're also at this point, whenever they're talking about this dig, they're also hatching a plan to build a museum.
But they haven't found anything there though.
Right. They're just like. There's some scientists, historians, and people that say that this is probably where it could be.
Okay.
If the story's true.
So they're kind of all
based on the records by these people.
Sure. Yeah.
at this point in time, the 2015, 2016 this was going on, they were planning on destroying a hotel that was built in the 1950s, which sits at the meeting point of the two rivers, overlooks the spot where the barbarian king is said to have been buried. He's going to be commemorated by a huge statue.
All right.
Just as like, there's loose records that he came through here and died here. So we're going to build a statue, which looks like they're trying, this mayor is trying to like get some territory.
Sure. Yeah.
Get some
help out
tourism.
the economy. Yeah.
That's the current theories up until recent times. Do you think, and I'm going to let you take this first, do you think it's true, any of it? As far as, not the story of King Alaric, there's records of him, but
of course.
Was he buried in the rivers? Was he buried with gold? Now, there is record in recent times where they have unearthed Visigoth tombs in the area.
Okay.
In southern Italy.
Okay. All right.
But not, it doesn't seem like they're like of anything important. Apparently they've discovered some sarcophagus with Visigoth type art and like imagery.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem like it's kings, like it's a king. It'd be more elaborate if it was a king. So do you think,
okay,
do you think this actually happened? And if it did, would they have buried it in the river?
So
what happened?
So the way it started was he died of malaria?
They say, recent history.
They're saying it's
probably malaria because of the area, because of the time of year, because of what was going on, because malaria is the biggest killer in the world of everything.
Yes.
It's like, very terrible. It's more than likely, based on he died so quickly, so young, probably that.
I would think the burying, I can see why they want to bury him that way for the sole purpose of no one ever getting to it.
Right.
But it seems kind of odd to like go through that much trouble to bury him. But why? I understand why like rulers throughout history were buried with their wealth, depending on the region or religion, because they think they can take it with them to the afterlife. I'm not sure if that's how the Visigoths view the afterlife, but why wouldn't they take some of that some of the silver and all those riches with them?
You mean to like use to help their people?
Yeah, because it seemed like
it's kind of like one of those things where like we put him in there, we took a picture, like look all this gold, and then we like kind of like, all right, camera's what? Like,
yeah. But it seemed like he kept being promised these riches, and like it seemed like he was helping the Visigoths out, especially some of these slaves that he freed twice. Or took in twice.
The Germanic slave that were,
So you'd think he'd want them to have some of that money to keep going or to like survive, or like
maybe they had a lot of it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Because how much you say it was like possibly 750 million?
That's in euros.
Euros, yeah.
Yeah. And who knows how much, like, so that's today's money.
I would imagine they would have taken some of it, but.
Yeah, they just sacked Rome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they have tons.
That's true, yeah.
They're probably like, can you just throw this in this hole? Because our wagons are breaking. And he was going to stop. And I don't know much more past that point. I know that if they actually did try to stop the grain shipments,
that would have been
from like his brother or his brother-in-law who took over for him. It says that they marched north and they went and established the Kingdom of Gaul.
Okay.
But I don't know if they actually followed through. Did they sack some stuff on the way? I think the story is obviously romanticized, but we do know that this guy probably went up and really messed up Rome.
Yeah.
He was as successful as they say. That would lead him to be a kind of a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
However,
that's where you don't hear much about him though.
Right. And did they just dump him in the river and just say, we buried him under the river?
Yeah. Well, they also might not know, like, if it was malaria, they didn't know what malaria was. They'd be like, oh, we need to get rid of his body, and like hopefully he doesn't infect any of us or anyone else.
I mean, they still kept him around while we diverted rivers and stuff. It doesn't say how long it took them to do that, but to divert a river and then dig a big trench.
Yeah.
Enslave a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's right. They killed the people. They killed the slaves off.
Yeah. So I think, you really got to, in the scale of mysteryness.
Yeah.
You want to think that the treasure's there and that they're going to find it someday. But they haven't found it yet.
It seems like this mayor's going all in.
And really pushing the story because he wants to tourism. Because we talked about this in the Amber Room episode.
Yeah.
The tourism went crazy whenever they said that train was there.
Right.
That the missing trains were in that town. And I think Norway.
So, I mean, is he doing that because he actually believes, like, the town believes that Alaric died there or his treasure might be there? Or is he doing this because for economic reasons? I mean, it could be both, too.
I would like to think it's not for economic reasons, but politicians will grasp at anything. I think in this case, he's a politician trying to help his town.
Sure.
So he's trying to do whatever he can. If he can raise tourism
by kind of draw to get people in.
Here's a little glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
I would like to think there's treasure under that. Like we said before, there's a lot of comments out there when doing the research, like there's no way that water would have washed it away, but it's a riverbed. They probably dunked down pretty far because the river is mostly mud.
Right.
And that until it gets down to like, I'm not saying bedrock, but an underlayer. There's a lot of mud will be deposited. It's like treasure. He's going to sink down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be heavy. It's going to be hard to move. It's not like it could wash it out, but if they dug it down deep enough, they probably knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They probably dug it down deep enough. And then it's sunk
his body
over time.
Wouldn't float up either. Too.
Right, because it's probably underneath all the treasure. Let's weigh him down.
Yeah.
Throw some gold on him.
Fill
those pockets up.
Gold bars on him. Silver and
I think it's one of those things where he could be there. We may never know. But I think this could be
but it is known he got that treasure, right? Like it is known that
he sacked Rome twice.
So he
possibly
definitely
3 times in 3 years.
He definitely would have gotten money.
The first time he
for sure
left without taking much because they promised him much, but then they never paid him.
Yeah.
Second time he came back supposedly in 409. I don't remember. I think it was just to release slaves. And then I guess someone convinced him to leave. And then the 410 is whenever he came back and was like, "No, I'm done." Sacked it for 3 days.
Yep. You owe me.
Took everything. Didn't burn it to the ground though,
right?
Because he didn't want to destroy the city.
Yeah.
He just wanted his pay. So he probably took. By that time, he's probably angry.
So either way, he got, I would assume, a good amount of money.
He got what he wanted. Yeah. And then he still wanted to screw him harder because he went south and tried to stop grain, which would do a lot to the people.
Sure.
At that point, I don't know if they're going after the eastern part. Like, I don't know where that grain was going.
Probably, I mean, the western to Rome itself, or the, he's going down to the coastline of Italy. He's going to get the grain. Yeah, he's going to stop it from getting to the capital or take it for himself. But yeah, so I feel like at some point he had money on him.
Yes, I'm sure he had a
decent amount.
Yeah, he's a king.
Yeah,
he's a king of Germanic tribes.
Rome, yeah,
he had enough people to sack Rome. Again, not the capital.
Yeah.
Diminished Rome.
Right. Maybe they took all like.
Because it could have been one of those things where like he had plenty of money and treasure, but it's like he wants more.
Yeah.
He wants to support. They got more people he got to support now.
Right.
Maybe
he wants to go after the Eastern Roman Empire at this point. Yeah.
If he didn't, he may have been like a vengeance thing. Like he could have been like, we're going to stop them, then we're going to go over there.
Yeah.
Like who knows if he didn't die, what would have happened? It could have been Alaric, Italy right now, or Istim Alec Bowl, Turkey.
So
Istanbul.
His brother-in-law carried on.
Yes.
Went up north.
Established the Kingdom of Gauls.
So maybe they had all. They took all his riches.
What is the Gauls? Does that turn into Germany?
Germany and France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm guessing like here's my thing. He had all this money. That I feel like that's known. That's a given. Say he died in southern Italy. They took his money to carry on their own
kingdom established. Yeah.
Because they're gonna need money like after he dies to keep moving forward.
I'm sure it's what he wanted.
Yeah. Because clearly it kind of seemed like he was
doing it for the people.
Do it for himself, but also those people.
Yeah. Because why else? He just would have screwed all those Goths and he went and joined Flavius.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So from that time when he died, when this Kingdom of Gaul was established, like they had to have. I mean, they could have ransacked some more places, but
I'm sure they were.
They would need the economic. They would need the resources and the means to keep going and to do something like that.
Apparently, they were ransacking all the cities they came across as they were going to Rome.
Okay.
And in 408, they had no resistance. Like they were just walking through the place, just taking whatever they wanted.
Right.
And there's even I didn't put this down, but I do remember reading quotes from Jordanius and stuff about the story that he was like, it was a brisk walk to the capital, and like they didn't have any they were just walking through the countryside because no one was going to fight them because they were probably such a formidable force at that point.
Sure.
Plus, the Eastern Empire is probably still fighting the Huns.
Yeah,
and
Rome, like we just said, like you said at the very beginning, Rome's in a decline already. So like,
and they moved to Ravenna. They moved they moved their capital, so they got them. They know the Goths on the move. They're probably like, well, we're just staying. Yep.
So it's a perfect storm for them to like walk in there and be like, yeah, we're taking what we want.
I mean, if he would have just stayed in Rome and just said, you know what, this is my kingdom now,
that would have been very interesting.
Yep.
History would have been very different.
Or like real rad. Maybe it would have been like, he would have been like the Metal King, like the Visigoths. We could have all been part Visigoth.
But like,
I mean, you probably are. I would think.
Yeah, like their art and architecture is huge. The Gothic architecture, like it's
Gothic architecture. Yeah,
so they lived on.
Because I think the Goths were Christian still. I believe
they became Christian.
I think he was Christian or he became Christian.
Yeah, they eventually. I don't know when they converted, but they eventually converted.
Right. So that's all we got. I mean, we have a.
So wait, sorry. What do you think happened?
I think it's true. I think it's just. I want to believe, realistically, he probably just buried him.
Yeah.
Maybe they put a little gold with them. I don't think they diverted rivers. Maybe they did.
It could
maybe
be like
they
a smaller part of the river, like
right. Maybe they buried him, but he's a king.
Yeah.
They still can't find the Genghis Khan's burial site.
That's true. Yeah.
So he was a pretty big deal. They have 40,000 soldiers with him.
Yeah.
So he probably did get that, but they may have misinterpreted where the rivers were.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of cases, that's what happens.
Yeah.
There's not like GPS and they put a ping on the map.
Yeah.
So I think he did. He was as big as he was. He did have as much money as he had. He's probably buried with it somewhere, but it's not in the right spot.
Well, especially too because they don't know that southern Italy land. I would imagine very well.
They could have been on the other side of. They could have been the other side of the southern Italy. They could have been, at the boot part or not the tip of the heel.
Yeah.
They don't know. I mean, or they could have been
with the territory.
It could have been this part of the river, and they're like 50 miles the other way. There's another stream, and they buried him there because there were no way of map keeping that was consistent.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they may have constructed some type of thing for him, and then.
Yeah, it'd still be really curious to see how they bury their dead back then, especially like a king, to see if that's something that isn't considered normal. I don't know anything about that. Their spirituality.
There is.
You say they found like a mausoleum or something like that?
No, they're digging up. Currently, they're digging up Visigoth or Gothic burial site or some type of. This news came out. Mm-hmm. If you Google it or you just search for it out there, there's going to be King Alaric treasure found, and you go to it, and it's like we found these Gothic burial sites with like stonework and stuff. So it shows it is Gothic. Okay, but I don't think it's ever been proven or hasn't been proven yet because it's still pretty new news, I believe. Okay, that if it's real or if it's like from that time, it could have been just from a different time, but it's in southern Italy. Okay, not near Cosenza or whatever this is.
But that's true. Then that make it weird that they would bury him. That much more weirder that they would bury him under a riverbed, or in like rather than.
If they buried him in a stone sarcophagus, like is in the pictures, because there are pictures of it. In the one of the main pictures is a guy like digging up something stone sarcophagus looking thing, and so if they did do that, that's still a stone thing. It's probably again, the earth moves a lot, things change, especially from this time, like 310, 310,
410.
410?
Yeah, is that when he died?
Probably. Yeah, so he died in 410. You're right, sorry. 310 would have been different. But still, it's 100 years. That's how long ago? That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff can move.
Sure.
Rivers change.
Yeah, yep.
Even if he did wash out,
Yeah, droughts happen.
He'd still be
floods
gone.
happen. Yeah.
During that earthquake, when like I said, there was an earthquake in when was that? Not in when that Dumas guy, the musketeer, went there. Yeah, 19th century. So he went there, and there was an earthquake. And he saw people digging in that region, in that area. So it wasn't. It's even like hundreds of years ago. They still thought this guy was buried here. Why would they think that?
Yeah.
There has to be some reason. Some kid found something. And I don't know if there's, a kid found a gold coin, so everybody's like gold crazy.
Yeah. There's something there.
Hitler went after it in the 20th century.
Yeah.
So there has to be, he probably saw like people, again, back in the 19th century looking there. And he said, oh, let's go there. So they, again, he was probably following some kind of trail. That's all I got. He's not well known, but a pretty big part of the history of Western civilization, European history.
I know I keep saying this, but it's crazy how in that short span of time, how the back and forth,
and I imagine
sides, like
if you read about the fall of Rome, it's probably
like
100 other things like that.
Yeah, it went on for centuries, but that's just crazy. This guy was just
as big as he was, as powerful as he was,
right,
to be taken out by malaria or a simple, they say a disease. He wasn't killed in battle.
Yeah.
He was just killed by sickness. He showed up southern Italy and died.
Yep.
Pretty quickly, I guess. Well, we'll have to leave it another mystery. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Avery thing. Comes in like really like strong and hot and then just like disappears.
At least maybe Avery died the same way. Maybe the same person.
Possible. Yeah.
Time's a little different.
Yeah.
Well,
Rome was a show that you need to watch. That's what I was alluding to.
Rome?
Earlier. Yeah.
It's just called Rome?
It's 2 seasons. It's like a precursor to Game of Thrones, but it's more like historically accurate.
Okay.
It's like
Rome.
It's like a not nonfiction, but
because there's a lot of those like Rome, Caesar. Like there's a lot of places. Yeah. There's a lot of like shows.
HBO show. The first season's awesome. Second one they kind of rushed because they ended up canceling it halfway through. But like it goes in like the politics.
Why did they cancel it?
The production cost and it being too high. But it reminds me of a lot of like it came out like years before Game of Thrones. There's a lot of that like political intrigue and like back and forth, and
they don't have any of the last 3 seasons of garbage.
It's right. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I'm gonna probably get internet beat up for that line, but in any case,
I think everyone agrees that the last couple were terrible.
Thank you, Jordan, for being here.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, man.
Thank you all for listening. But I also wanted a couple things we got to go over. One thing is we are officially launching some things like we have a website, mysteriouspals.com. It'll be in the show notes. We are looking through how we're going to use social media.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of social media out there. We don't know what ones are best for this type of thing.
Right.
We want to have something, a way to communicate what's going on with people who may listen. No one may listen to this at all, so this is kind of a moot point.
Be all for naught.
We also want to have the ability to mention when things come out, if we have different information that we can present.
Push out some notifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also, if you're listening to this or watching this, we have a theme song from a very talented band called Deathlehem.
Yep.
There is a link below, information below about the intro and outro song that we used from them.
Which they made a music video for, which you should check out.
Yeah, it's called Escape from the Wolf Mountain is the name of the song. Escape from Wolf Mountain on the album Maelstrom of the Emerald Dragon. There is a link below how to contact them or how to get to them, how to hear their music on Bandcamp.
Yeah, they're good guys, got good music.
So we thank them for that, and we are happy
Thanks, guys.
that things are starting to come together. They're probably never going to listen. We have talked about having, like I said, going back to social media, we have a link tree right now that kind of directs you to all those places. So as we get those social media things online, Linktree will kind of direct you. So if you go to our Linktree or the main website that we have, it will kind of direct you what.
It's like a hub?
Yeah, we may use Discord for communicate, like get information, or not get information, but talk to anybody out there about mysteries, ideas you have for mysteries. a good way to connect with everybody. Instagram might be another way, but I think something like Discord or Reddit might be a good way, like a subreddit. I think that's all I got. I don't really know if there's anything else we can talk about. We have YouTube channel. We're on all major. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can follow us on any podcast services. We're got that all lined up. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Jordan, for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week for another episode, which
hopefully listen to.
You may never hear.
Whenever.
It could be a mystery.
It'll be a mystery. In history.
History mystery.
With two pals.
Two pals. Stay mysterious out there. Good night.